Miracle project, which this is all about, and I'll soon give you a short overview on what Miracle is about and what we try to achieve with your help and with you next week in Brussels. So if you have any questions throughout this webinar, please raise your hand. You can do that by clicking on the yellow hand button. Then we can give you the right to speak through the webinar. So let me give you a short overview on the Miracle project. This is a European Commission funded project that currently runs, and Miracle is an acronym for a longer project name which is called Machine Readable and Interoperable Age Classification Labels in Europe. And because this is a very long name, we opted for the shorter League of Labels hackathon name, because I think that's much nicer if it comes to coding and playing around with So what is this all about, you might ask? If you have had a look at the project website, then it's already clear that there's a problem out there. If we talk about visual age labels and age ratings regarding media content, then you'll find plenty of different schemes, systems, icons, and stuff like that. So the current status quo of age labels is functional schemes, media-specific schemes of age ratings, and those are mostly analog, so we have visual age labels and no electronic classification information at all. That was the starting point for the Miracle project, and Miracle tries something that is not so difficult on the technical level, but quite difficult when it comes to introducing this policy approach in national rating schemes. So what the Miracle project tries is to make the specific scheme-specific age classification information interoperable on a technical level, not so much on the cultural level. That's something for later maybe, but for now we try to bring all those different visual age labels together and try to make machines understand what's all about in those classification, in those age ratings from different schemes. The idea behind that is, if you have a globalized media environment with globally distributed media content, then specifically the content distributor and the content provider has the problem of dealing with a magnitude, full variety of different national classification schemes, making it very difficult for those people to actually cope with the different information that is included in those ratings. So Miracle tries to cope with that by providing a common data scheme, the Miracle specification, and now can map their age classification onto that specification, and then all those classification is machine readable and technologically interoperable. So that's what Miracle tries to achieve. Well, the main objectives of this project is we developed a common data model for age classification information. We implemented it in different classification contexts, so we already have a critical mass of classification data, and we currently implement it in different applications. So we try to show that there's an added value in interoperable classification. Why is that relevant? Well, I already mentioned that especially globally or other operating industry players have to cope with different schemes. So an interoperable standard is like makes it easier for those industry players to aggregate that data and to play that data out, to attach that data to media content and so on. So what we will try to achieve during the hackathon is that as project partners of the Miracle project, we already try to implement the specification in different contexts, but we are quite narrow-minded. So what we need are innovators and developers who say, well, that's a lot of data that you have at hand. And we can aggregate it, we can play with it, we can make new services out of that by combining them, by referencing them with other APIs and stuff like that. So during the hackathon, we will have some industry representatives on site that will try to give you an idea what the most relevant issues for the industry are. For instance, aggregating different classification data in the backend of their media asset management programs or software. So they really need a solution for that, and Miracle as a specification might be an approach to do so. Before we go a little bit deeper into the Miracle specification, let me calm you, I would say. So what Miracle as a project does is not rocket science at all. It's a rather simple XML vocabulary that the different classification schemes can map onto. So if you have ever had to do with XML schema definitions, you know that there are different elements of data, so you can just, well, find your drawer that you need in an XML data set and then map your data on that specific data element. So it's basically not very difficult to do so. And the Miracle specification is quite hierarchically, so it's easy to comprehend, and you can almost read the data sets when looking at the source code and at the XML files. The thing is that, as I said, Miracle tries to make it possible for content providers or for age classification bodies to aggregate data, to provide feeds with different age classifications included. So that's why Miracle also, as a specification, allows the data provider to include several different age classifications in one data set. That's why the Miracle specification is kind of nested. So you have, as all XML data sets have to have, you have the root element, which is label, and within that label there can be blocks of age declarations. So you can combine different data sets within one Miracle data set. And each of those age declarations has different blocks of data that can provide more information: who is the issuer of such an age classification, what the scope is, to what kind of content or what specific type of content this can be attached. The actual age rating, of course, which is, I think, the most relevant information. And of course, there are several additional data blocks, namely the content descriptors or feature descriptors, where we provide additional metadata on the specific types or reasons why a specific type of content is age rated as 12 or 15 or something like that. So to give you an insight of how to query the current provided Miracle metadata, I can show you some demos. Current RESTful APIs that deliver Miracle datasets on request. So let's have a look at the different providers of Miracle APIs. I'll show you some examples from the BBFC, which is the British classification body for movies. Some of NICAM, which is the counterpart in the Netherlands, also for games. I think everybody of you knows PEGI, which is the Pan-European Game Information System, including many game classifications. And then we have two or three comparable services that translate or map existing data into the Merkle specification. For instance, from Germany, the FSM, where we already have online labels for websites. So this is a service that can translate those so-called HDE XML labels into Merkle data sets. So I'd say let's have a look at some of those examples. For that, I'll start my API request software, which is on OS X. I don't know if you know that, but this is basically just to show you how you can query the different APIs and then get the results in form of Merkle data sets. So as a first example, the BBFC Merkle API is well, as a first-hand information, you will find links to all those APIs on the Be My App website for this hackathon next week. So it's all documented. But just to give you an example, so I'm querying the API of the BBFC right here. Try to stick to their URL parameters and query right now for the game section with Area 51, which is a sci-fi shooter from some years ago. So, and what we get back as a response is a full-featured Merkle dataset that I can use in any software I like to develop or program. Of course, we can query some other game. I don't know, Grand Theft Auto might be included in the database. So here again, we get back the data set of Grand Theft Auto, which actually has an 18 from the BBFC. So that's basically a simple RESTful API that the BBFC provides. They also have a web front end. So if you want to check out different pieces of data beforehand, then you will always have the option to look into the website front end. So, for instance, this is the documented web front end of the BBFC when it comes to Merkle, the Merkle Explorer, where you will also find the different URL parameters and options that you can query here. So back to PAW and our API query software. For instance, regarding the PEGI API, who also offers their database in form of Merkle datasets. They are quite interesting because you can actually query for specific amounts of time. So, for instance, if you want to know what classifications during the last week or first week of October have been issued, then you can just query the from and to date at this API. So you will get back a lot of Merkle data sets then with all the different information of patients that have been published during that week. So and all those data sets follow the same XML schema definition. So you will have no problems in machine processing those results from those APIs. Maybe another example is the FSM translation server, which translate the existing HDE XML files currently used for labeling websites in Germany into Miracle data sets. And again, they provide an API that you can query. For instance, I prepared the query to see whether one of our sponsors, Electronic Arts, actually labels their website. So if we query that API, you will find that you will see that Electronic Arts in Germany, at least, labels their websites regarding each and every game they provide, depending on the different age ratings they received for those games. And last but not least, when it comes to website labeling, we have a filter software provider as a part of our project consortium, which is UsePork. That company basically provides parental control software, and during the Miracle project, they opened their redacted URL blacklist or age classification database, so you can also query that API with different URLs and then get back the actual age rating done by UsePork for that page. So for instance, I prepared to query playboy.de to see what the UsePork database has to say regarding Playboy or Germany's Playboy website. And again, as a result, you will get a valid Miracle data set. And as you see, UsePork rated that website. So that is basically how the APIs look like. So as you have seen, that's not real rocket science. But what I want to show you, to give you some inspiration for next week, is where hooks can be found for external references, for combining different APIs, or for attaching the age classification data to something other, to some other information or a configuration. So hooks for such external references, of course, are the content-related metadata that are provided together with the Miracle data sets. For instance, you will almost always find information regarding the media content's title, the year of production, the EAN code, or some other unique identifiers, so that you can query other databases, for instance, the IMDb database, to attach that Miracle knowledge towards the IMDb result, just as an example. And then one of the main parts of the Miracle data sets is, of course, the actual age rating. So what you can do with that is, someone mentioned the idea of combining face recognition software with Miracle age ratings. So, for instance, sitting in a public library and the computer scans my face and decides via any know your age API or something like that, identifies me as a 16-year-old pupil, then I can actually use that information to provide specific age ratings or to filter out specific websites or not. Some other ideas that we came up with when it comes to what actually is needed or what actually can be done with interoperable data in this field would be to provide something like API proxies as a business solution for someone like Netflix who queries that one-stop shop for all age classification information regarding one specific movie or TV episode. So that could be an aggregating service for those industry players. We have several interested companies that try to map their current data towards Miracle, and being non-IT guys in those companies, sometimes it would make sense to provide them something like a drag and drop mapping tool, for instance, where you can pull your current data schemes onto the Miracle vocabulary and then get basically the mapped Miracle data sets out of that tool. Or the other way around, if you have a lot of Miracle data sets, you could also provide or develop something like a style sheet generator for actually visualizing the information that is included in the Miracle data sets. That's something that browser plugins could use as a framework when you want to show the age classification of a website or a movie that you are currently watching on your computer. But also, when it comes to back-end solutions, if you try to label your website, or if you want to provide your customers with website labeling tools, then content management systems could make use of Miracle modules that you can actually use to provide Miracle-based information regarding your website or your customer's website, something like that. So those are just some examples what you could do with interoperable data in this field, but of course we expect you to be more innovative and more playful regarding this type of data. So I think as a short introduction of what we try to make out of the hackathons, I'm hoping that you get the idea and grasp the basic approach of the Miracle project. So this would be my part of this webinar, as long as it comes to showing slides or API examples. Of course, we are always looking for questions of more specific types if you have such questions. But first, I'm very happy that today someone from the W3C is around at the webinar and trying to giving you the big picture when it comes to text standards and web labeling. It's an old colleague of mine and a member of the Miracle Advisory Board. It's Phil Archer, and I'm happy to introduce you to him now. Phil, would you like to say something?
I'll do so. I'll keep it fairly brief, but thank you, Stephan. So I'm going to show you some very, just a few slides that I prepared to do this. So hopefully you can now see something on the screen, which is a slide deck that I've got. There's a URL on the right-hand side there. You can click that if you want to follow. You can follow along if you like. These slides are online, so feel free. So yes, I've been around this space for some time, and W3C has been around for some time. I should just pause briefly. If you're unfamiliar with W3C, we are the standards body for the web. My boss's boss's boss is Tim Berners-Lee. We provide standards for, that make the web, so things like HTML and XML and RDF and CSS and all that stuff. Those are all defined through our systems. So let me show you a little thing. We actually, at W3, have quite a long history of working in this space, although it's not a very happy history. In fact, the second standard we ever created was in this space. It was called PIX. It was called the Platform for Internet Content Selection. And it was a way of providing what, in today's webinar, we're calling age labels, how you could provide age classification information. It was designed, in fact, to provide any metadata, not just about age classification, but that's what it became known for. That was developed as early as 1996. It ended up being implemented in Internet Explorer 3, and I think it's only just left with the invention with the release now of Edge. I assume I haven't actually checked Edge. I assume it's not in Edge, but it certainly was up as far as IE10. There was a Pix label reader, and nobody used it. There was another thing that we tried called P3P, the platform for privacy preferences, and that was a way for a content provider to provide information about what the site would do with information about you, and it would allow users to declare what a site could do with their data. It would tell the site whether you could use their name or their address or whatever it may be. It was an exchange between the content owner and the user. That was built into IE6 and other browsers and went nowhere, ended up not being used. And then I came along, and in the early, roughly 10 years ago, started working on a replacement for Pix, which was called Powder, which was all about providing metadata about websites. It tried to fix some of the problems that Pix had. It tried to make it easier to use. And again, no one used it. So we have a long history of creating standards at W3 around this idea of providing metadata that nobody uses. From a policy point of view, some of this stuff, again, has been around a long time. Before the web, there was the Entertainment Software Board, Entertainment Software Ratings Board, ESRB, in the USA, and something called RSAC, the Recreational Software Advisory Council. These two were both set up in the States in the 80s, and then the web came along, and one of them, RSAC, moved on to the web, and that became the rating system that was built into Internet Explorer and other browsers. That became RSAC-I. That then transformed into ICRA, and ICRA was around from around 2000 to about 2008. I was involved throughout a large part of ICRA's history. I've talked about why it failed before now. There are some slides that I did an early occasion when Stephan and I were together back in March 2010. There's a link to them there. And I wrote up a document about an hour after ICRA finally packed up about why it failed. Why did ICRA fail? We had this big system with lots of companies all wanting to support it. We had people wanting to access information, but ICRA did not succeed at all. And there are a couple of questions that one has to ask about providing age labels. What is it we're actually trying to do? If you're building an application that uses age labels, if you're building an application, certainly if you're building a filter, what are you going to do about content that is not labeled? And what's the incentive? What is the incentive for anyone to bother to provide that metadata? So that history of sort of things that haven't quite worked, Miracle comes along and tries to change the game, and I'm pleased that it has done so. And Stephan and the colleagues in that project have been working hard to try and do things a bit different and learn from those previous failures. And here's an example of a very, very, very successful metadata providing thing. If you haven't heard of schema.org, check it out. It's the mechanism that is promoted by all the major search engines, so Google and Yandex and Bing and Yahoo. They all support schema.org, which is a way of encouraging you to provide metadata that goes alongside websites, and it actually helps you to expand the amount of real estate you get on the search engine pages. I gave you an example here of a thing you might want to have a look at. If you look in the source code of the results of those pages, you'll see that the ones that take up more space on the search results are ones that have a lot of the schema.org metadata embedded. So you might want to check that out. And that's nothing to do with age ratings. It's nothing to do with online safety. It's all about providing good quality metadata for search engines. If you lie, if you put inaccurate metadata in, then that actually reduces your search engine rank. If you tell the truth, then that will enable the search engines to make better use of the data you've got. That's the idea. It doesn't actually increase your search engine rank, but it does increase the amount of space you get on the search engine pages. So that schema.org is very, very successful. Roughly a quarter of web pages have schema.org markup in them. A quarter. That's a heck of a lot of web pages. It's very, very successful, and it's not very old. So how else might the Miracle work be used? I'll leave you with one slide. This is what I get if I use a modern browser and do a search for a current movie, in this case The Martian, you'll see that I live in a place called Ipswich, which is why when I search, the browser, obviously the web browser knows where I am, it knows I'm in Ipswich, it knows therefore where my local cinemas are, and it tells me all about the film. It gives me reviews, it gives me pointers to IMDb, and it gives me showing times at my local cinemas. So I know that today I could have gone to see The Martian at 14:20, another showing has just started at 17:30. So a lot of information is there that Google has. And Google gets that information from all over the place, in various places where that information comes from. But you'll notice that nowhere on the page does it give you the age rating. Wouldn't it be nice if it did? And so what I'm hoping is that the work that Miracle is doing is going to make it easy for applications like the search engines, like others, like the applications that I hope will come out of the hackathon next week. Use that information probably alongside other information to make something interesting. So there's hope, there is positive things to look forward to. This data that comes from the rating agencies is extensive, there's a lot of it. It's usually very good quality data as well, and you can hook it in and make some pretty cool apps about films and games, and you can mix it in with all sorts of ideas. And if you do that, and within that include the age classification, that's going to be useful to people. But that's where I think the positive future lies. So with some background of it not going well, I hope that we can look forward to some positive outcomes. And again, my slides are there if you want to follow up any of those links. Okay, that's me. Back to you, Stephan. Sorry, back to you, Stephan. I think that'll work. I can't hear you, Stephan.
I'm back online. Thanks, Phil, for the overview, which makes it very clear that we live in times where metadata becomes even more relevant than it did before, because now we have the machines and apps that can use that data in a meaningful way. So, as an overview of what we try to achieve, I think this sums it up quite good. But I wanted to give you also a kind of family feeling for next week. So what we're going to do is we will have a rather small hackathon compared to the 100 or thousands of participants hackathons that you find sometimes. But we will be around 20, 30 people that make use of the Miracle data sets. So it will be cozy, and we will have plenty of time to discuss ideas, to help each other where possible or necessary. There will be a lot of people from the project around with IT backgrounds, with engineering, or even graphical interface backgrounds. So there will be a lot of support and help in case you run into some issues or problems. We will have around even some members of the Miracle Consortium that actually have access to the API source. So if you run into a bug or you need something in a more effective way, for instance, then it's even possible to ask the API providers to change the source code accordingly and then, work with the data in a more effective manner. So I think that makes it quite a specific hackathon, and it makes it very productive from your point of view because we are all around. So all the ones that you need to ask questions or to ask for changes in the source code are around. So I think that makes it very interesting for the hackers and developers and innovators. So that would be it basically. And I haven't seen any raised hands right now or any questions. So this would be the time where you get the word and ask your questions if you have any.
The hackathon, I believe, is no, isn't it the weekend, is it? Stephan, I'm looking at the questions here.
Yeah,
So,
I see. So Sonia D asked when the hackathon takes place. It will take place next week on Monday and Tuesday, so it's not over the weekend, but it's during weekdays, starting Monday morning and ending on Tuesday late afternoon. So anyone with any questions, we can put your mic online, so you can ask your question right within the webinar. So we grant you the permission to speak, and then you're free to do so. Any questions or problems? So some additional questions roll in. One is from Anastasia. She asks if there's any social media related age gating feature on YouTube, because as many of you know, there's a safe search age gating to be enabled on YouTube. So as far as I know, YouTube uses rating or flagging features for comments too, but they won't result into age gatings or age classification, but just if they are infringing the terms of service, then they will just be deleted. So there's no age gating implemented on the comment section of YouTube. But of course, this is something that can be achieved because there is classification knowledge at hand. So if you let your community rate or flag content, or well, media content, or the content in the comments or in the social media side of YouTube, then you have classification knowledge on that content. You know that a specific amount of people find that comment offensive. So that's actually classification knowledge that you can provide for internal reasons or also for external demanders. So that's something that can be done. I hope that answers your question. And then there's Carlo asking if we are sure it's also for non-programmers. Well, it's called a hackathon, but of course, if you have a great idea and you like to innovate, you can build your team on site. So at the beginning of the hackathon, there will be a matchmaking session where you can actually present your idea that you have. It doesn't matter if you are an IT person or not, as long as you have a good idea and you want to build a team that is taking the challenge, then you're free to come. So there will be a team building session, and if you convince others with your ideas, then you will have a team at hand consisting of developers and graphic designers and stuff like that. So yeah, of course, we think it's also for non-programmers. We like ideas. We like programmers too, but we like ideas too. So I hope that answers your question. So again, several questions. Sanyadi asks if we provide any documentation on the APIs. Yes, we do. Please have a look at the League of Labels hackathon page, where you will find all the documentation for the APIs. So if you go to the League of Labels website and scroll down, then you will have linked all the different API URLs and documentations. So of course you can already practice with coding or querying those APIs. If you run into problems, then please contact me. So it's not a problem at all to support you when it comes to finding your ideas. I'll post the URL for all of you in the chat. So there were some additional questions.
Sonia, you're asking about schema.org. I think you'll find, hopefully you've got that there. I'll put it on the chat window as well. Basically, schema.org is self-describing, but there are lots of links on there. You see the whole thing. So schema.org itself is the place to go for information about that. You'll find plenty there. Any more for Nemo? Oh, I don't know how to make that all work. Okay. See it appear at the top. Okay.
Okay. Anyone else with questions, or will we see each other next week? Carlos already says he's got an idea. So, Carlo, could you present your idea, or is this still mystery secret stuff? Carlo, are you still there? I think you can.
I hear you typing.
Speak.
Yes, hello?
Yes, hi, we can hear you.
Ah, you can hear me, okay, yeah. No, I do have an idea, and I'll bring it with me on Monday. I can give you a short, but it's more about a music platform. Is that okay with you, or do you prefer going into movie content?
Well, music is currently not rated by many classification bodies, so there will be very limited amounts of miracle data sets when it comes to music. I know from the PVFC that they age-rate music videos, so music videos could be an idea.
Okay, but I think the idea could be applicable to movies as well. It's about more to work with trusted brands such as magazines or radio stations or TV stations that have a certain taste, and it could be a taste in movies like horror movies or comical movies or something like that, and to pick an API to their sites to see what is relevant content to them, and to insert that content into a certain box or like a virtual digital box that you can where people can see, okay, on one platform you can see from a certain magazine which is their choice of movies at that moment or of all time. it's a bit difficult to explain now, but I'll send you a document where it's explained in terms of music, but you could apply it to films as well.
Okay. It's like emotion-based targeting or something?
No, it's more curated discovery, where you can, as a user, you can say, okay, I like horror movies, so you can get access to the selection of a trusted brand, like a magazine or a TV station, or maybe a film critic that has a very distinct taste in horror movies. So you can see the selection of that person who has a lot of credibility in that taste, actually.
Okay.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sounds interesting.
I'll send you a very brief description by mail later this week, in English,
Yeah,
and I'll bring it. Yeah, I'll bring it with me.
That would be awesome, but you don't have to do that. So you can just bring your idea to Brussels next Monday. But of course,
Okay.
you are cordially invited. So if anyone else wants to talk over microphone, then please feel free to do so. So you don't have to type such a lot of text. So Anastasia still sticks to her social media, and if I understand you correctly, Anastasia, then you think about using the Facebook API to get to know the actual age of individuals on Facebook. Would you like to talk more about that?
Oh, hello.
Hi.
I think about like does it Facebook usually some people tends to put their age there, but maybe if there is some child or like the person who actually like under 14, 13, because a lot of children have already smartphones. But is it possible to tag some Facebook news or like what do you share there? Just for the people for a certain group, maybe?
Well, also Facebook does age-gate content within the social media platform. If you remember the Mexican execution videos in spring,
oh, yeah.
So they actually put a black layer on that video, so you had to click twice on the video to actually see that very violent content.
Mm-hmm.
So again, Facebook has information regarding the age classification or the content descriptors of specific videos or content in general. So they have the infrastructure to do so, but currently they only use it internally for such blacking out videos or double clicking on videos before you can actually see them. So I'm not sure. We can have a look at the different Facebook APIs before Monday and can give you more information where you might be able to hook in when it comes to age gating content there.
Okay, thanks. I think it's just like about age rating when you start talking about face recognition and somebody who was in the library. It just stick to my mind and I started thinking about like different applications where it could be interesting.
Well, the person, I don't know if the person will attend next week, but I had a nice phone call from him telling me that it would be nice if he can just approach the public library computer and then, well, if he is 16 or 18, he can view everything on YouTube. But if a 6-year-old child gets onto the computer, then YouTube is actually automatically in the safe mode, for instance. So you can, well, combine the face recognition or the age recognition together with age classification on such platforms.
Okay. I just heard about like face recognition connected to Coursera. Do you know that like whereas you can learn some courses, so it's just there trying to understand have you got the content, have you got the course or not? like, but I haven't thought about age recognition from that.
Okay.
That's quite interesting. Thank you.
I think there are 2 or 3 face recognition APIs that can calculate your actual age or your estimated age. And we linked 1 or 2 of them also on the League of Labels hackathon website.
I think I have seen some, and I have tried my photos. In one case, it gave me like 20 years, and another is just 30. So sometimes it's like it's not working very well.
Yeah. Well, the Microsoft-based API is better in that, and we will have some Microsoft IT guy around in Brussels too. So he will explain us the possible features when it comes to face API, the Microsoft face recognition APIs.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So Philippe has just joined the webinar and asking whether there will be a recording of this. And my panel shows me that this session is being recorded. So I bet there will be some kind of documentation of this webinar. So Philippe, you are not alone. You can just watch it later on and then come next week to Brussels in the best prepared way. Okay, anyone else wanting to talk or to ask a question or present an idea already?
If not, thank you very much.
Yeah. So we call it quits for now. And as I said, let's have a great age classification data party next week in Brussels. So I'm looking forward to meeting you all, seeing you all, and I like to be flashed by your great ideas. We heard first ones today, so I'm looking forward to even more next week. See you on Monday in Brussels, okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good time in Brussels. Hope it goes well.